All right, welcome to our breakout room reflections, set cruise control and go session. We're excited to have you guys all back here. This is a Zoom session inside of inside of On Air. Just a little bit. I can see you guys all in gallery view, but you guys can only see the person that's speaking. We've actually put in a ticket for that so that they can actually fix that. We think gallery view would be more interesting. But I'm looking for some volunteers to present. You should see the share screen button at the very bottom of your screen. Is there any one of the groups? I think we had people in breakout room 2, 3, and 4. Is there anybody that would like to present first? Feel free to unmute yourself.
Don't be shy.
Anybody? If you need to, I do have the discussion forum open as well. If you're having issues, and let me know in the discussion forum or the Q&A, and I can answer those things. So, looks like we got a couple more people coming in. Does anybody want to present first? Anybody want to share their screen and show us what they worked on?
Can we volunteer other people? I volunteer Deb.
You can.
Yeah.
Deb, you should present for our group. Come on.
Did you just throw me under the bus, Lori?
Yeah, I think it
I
backed
did.
over you
Feel
too.
like
I
that's
did, and
what
then I
just
backed
happened.
right over.
Exactly what happened.
All right, let me. Yeah, James did such a good job. I was thinking. All right, so it says that host is disabled screen sharing.
That's my fault. Hold on, let me fix that.
Okay.
Thanks, Deb. You're awesome.
No, it says all people can share.
There it is. I got it.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
All right. I'm hoping you can see. God knows what.
We can. Perfect. Looks great.
All right. All right. So the members of our team were Lori, James, Janine, and Crystal. We did have a good time. I think we kept ourselves under control mostly. So our steering board vision was to provide a conduit through which campus departments can engage in finding solutions to complex problems, re-engineering complex processes, and all kinds of other fun, buzzword bingo words. We set our goals as a steering committee to help the campus create repeatable processes to maximize success, minimize failures from a project perspective, and make sure that we conduct lessons learned or blameless retrospectives, and make sure that expectations from the campus in a project management perspective are met, so that everybody that submits a project proposal can expect that, if their project is selected and approved, they can then go forward and expect the project scope, project charter, all those fun and exciting things. We also thought it would be good to increase awareness and drive engagement of campus personnel and projects. So having the steering committee kind of be project champions too, and let folks know what's going on. One of the things that we talked about, at all of our campuses is sometimes communication is challenging. So then we wanted to ensure strategic alignment, make sure that the projects that are being undertaken align with the goals of the campus, ensure projects have clear resource plans so that we don't wind up having that one person that does single sign-on on 15 different project teams. So our steering board roles, I think we did this. So we basically took folks from our different governance committees. So we represented from data governance, academic and administrative governance, our CIO's office, our student governance committee, college senate, the budget committee, and then our communications PR committee. Our submission plan, so every project proposal needs to have these features. And then this is what a typical steering committee meeting would comprise. And I think that was it. Did I miss anything, guys?
No, that's everything.
That was it.
Does anybody
Perfect.
have questions or want to comment? Can we go back to your slide 7, Deb?
Oh, sure. Maybe.
My question would be is how did you come up with these attributes or these features, you call them? How did you come up with those and why? Why these and not some others?
Do you want to take that one, Crystal, or?
I guess, but I should have Steve help out with this one.
Yeah, I was thinking we can have Steve answer that question.
No, be tested.
Basically, those are all the fields that we're asking for now on our project submission. And the sponsor is, I feel like, kind of self-explanatory, but the requesting department and division are things that we're using to report on at the moment, and also using to help kind of send that information upwards. So Steve might want to talk about what he does with that when he meets with cabinet, but it allows the vice presidents to have some insight into what their divisions are requesting from us for projects.
I'm sorry, I thought you wanted me to pay attention to something. This is Steve.
Oh, you're very, very low, Steve.
Am I? I wonder if I've got the wrong microphone. How about this? Is this much better?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Fantastic. So since I need to pay attention now, we use those specific fields so that I can run a report. I actually have a report within our team dynamics environment that allows me to see who's requesting it, and I can divide it up based on portfolios, because each of our departments have portfolios, but I also can take a look at what departments are requesting what. One of the things that we're struggling with is, particularly on the programming side of the house, we have more requests than people that can get them done. And so we've got departments saying, I need this, I need this, I need this. And so what we're doing is we're pushing back through to cabinet to say, you need to help us figure out, because everybody's saying I need something, but we don't have enough time to do all of those or the resources right now. So what do you want us to work on first, basically, is what we're asking them. And so what this has turned into is that I now have meetings with each of the divisions and the management teams of each division to help us prioritize what their top priorities are. So my first meeting was actually a month ago with the provost and the academic side of the house. And they said, all right, here are the top 3 things we want you to work on for us. So as we get to that, we could say, okay, here, now we know what the top 3 things are, say, of every division. Now they've got to take them back to cabinet and say, all right, what is the most important based on where we want to be and what we want to do next? And it also helps educate them by having meetings, because the vice presidents, they don't necessarily know that they've got the director of financial aid requested a certain feature or wants to buy a new piece of software right away. And so what this does is it brings some visibility into what their divisions are trying to do operationally.
Thank you.
If I'm on your board, Steve, and I come to your meeting and I see this big long list of things that need to get done.
Yep.
At what point will I become aware of the dollars involved, or the estimated dollars or return on investment? Do I become aware of that here? Later? Earlier? Not at all?
Well, right now, most of the dollars are being driven by each division has their own budget.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we're letting them know in terms of not dollars, but people resources at the time. We'll let them know that, hey, this project is going to take 2.5 programmers. I only have 1 available right now. So in order to, when will I have the next 2.5 programmers available to start working on something? So we kind of look at it as in terms of people resources.
Okay.
So that's how we're kind of doing the budget piece, because the departments will say, like, for instance, we just implemented Campus Logic and financial aid. They came to us and said, we're shopping for this. We'd like this. We have the money for it. This is what we want to implement. Well, I had to go back to our vice president of student services and basically say, okay, this is really important. This is in your division, but you also have me working on these 3 other things. Is this more important than those 3 other things? And it turned out that yes, this became more important than those 3 other things. So we worked on that. Then and 2 of the 3 other things, because that's what we had time for, and that's what we were able to prioritize.
Thank you. Good.
I'd just like to jump in here for a minute. This is a hugely important project in project management. Normally, when we think about project management, we think about the implementation life cycle and how project management helps us succeed with projects we've already decided to mobilize. But there is a special branch of project management dedicated to deciding what to do, called project portfolio management. And there's a prescribed set of gates and a process and a set of documents to handle this. And we're experimenting with this right now at system administration. And we've come up with 2 different templates. One is for projects that will hit our budget, and one that basically RFPs that are either direct charges or PIAs, or in some ways are just kind of procurement issues that aren't going to consume our budgetary resources. And another, our business cases that are going to have a direct impact on our budget resources. And they're kind of 2 different kinds of forms, but they are forms like that provide all of that information plus some in a template form. That the advantage that you have with what you're doing is that you can database that and keep a report of it, which I think, we could merge those 2 ideas. But we're finding that the business case format and the information that goes in it and the way it's presented and the process of using it has really, really helped us in 2 ways. First, it's helped us coordinate the customer side of requirements gathering and getting all our ducks in a row, so that we don't have different people going in different directions to ask IT for different things, so that we've organized our ask. And 2, it's let the CFO see everything that's going through the organization, instead of, as you mentioned, different directors asking for different things that then the CFO becomes unaware of what money is being spent by whom when. So I really would like to get back with everybody and begin talking more about project portfolio management, the standards, the process, and the templates that go into that, and then talk about the processes that you're using and find ways to improve both. I'm done.
Wonderful, thank you. Does anybody else have any comments or questions for, I believe that was group 3? All right, perfect. Then can we get either, oh, April, you're muted.
We are all going to share all these slide decks, aren't we?
Yes, we'll get them
great.
to you. All right, so how about I got group 4 or group 2? Which one would like to present next? Any volunteers?
Well, in some ways, I think group 2 kind of presented.
We're okay with group 4 is okay. We can present.
Perfect. Artur, can you find the share screen at the bottom so that you can bring that up?
Yes, so let me just move the slide over. If I can find it, here it is. And share my screen. And there it is.
Perfect.
Okay.
Is everybody seeing that okay?
Yes.
Perfect.
There are only two of us on this team, so it was pretty scarce, but we still were able to do, I think, a fairly decent job. What we kind of started by is something that we already have established at our institution, and I'm from SUNY Orange. So we have what's called an IT Executive Council, and it mostly has to do with IT projects, and I'm obviously from the IT. So for the vision that was kind of established, it's not formal like we're doing it now for that team, I think, but from how they operate, their vision is facilitate the selection of the project prioritization and the selection of the project for the implementation, and also for the vision here. And Tyrone, feel free to jump in. I don't want to take it over. We also thought that this team would be helpful in resolving any kind of a big scope, schedule, and budget conflicts that might arise throughout the project implementation that the project team may not be able to resolve by themselves. And also we wanted to make sure that when they select the projects, that they make sure that they are aligned with the strategic plan of the institution, which is, an important part. When I said that, this is sort of based on what we already have at our institution at Orange. They do the selection. Today, we haven't gotten to the point where there's the conflict resolution or them aligning it so much with the strategic plan. So that might be something that we'll implement in the future. Tyrone, do you want to add anything on the vision here?
No, that's great.
Okay. So for the goal, this is sort of more, spelling out the vision that we established, and the selection of the projects for the implementation. And the other team was just talking about, that we also are in the situation where, I should say, luckily not today anymore, where we would be inundated by all these projects, and everyone wanted them all at the same time. And no matter what you choose and how you do it, you could never make everyone happy. And it all fell on my shoulders because it's sort of my area, the information system services. It was very stressful until we established this, this team, and and that's very important for that level of folks to really help with that decision making as far as the prioritization goes. Then the goal number 2 is making sure that it's aligned with the strategic goals. If the projects are not aligned with the strategic goals, they would not be really adding value to the institution based on, our college goes through these cycles, I think every 10 years or so, where they come up with a new strategic plan. We just finished working on another one recently, where we did this whole SWOT analysis and so forth. And obviously it produces a document, but if you don't refer to it throughout the next 10 years, like what's really the use of it? So it really should be used to say, oh, does that really meet something in the street? And if it doesn't, then it probably should not be implemented at all. The other goal is obviously resolving the conflicts, and often, as you know, and whoever has managed project, that you sometimes arrive at this junction of, okay, we can do it this way or we can do it that way, and it's not, it could be technical, but there's money involved in it, and you're really not in a position to make a money decision. And it might also affect the schedule if you pour more money into it and so forth. So this really needs to be presented to this board for them to help us say, okay, go this route and go this route, and not because, Arthur said so, and just decided on a whim. And the project teams, in other words, would not have the authority to make those types of decisions. So Tyrone, do you want to add anything on this slide?
No, once again, you're doing fine.
All right, thank you. All right, this one, we also, again, this was partly based on what I was already familiar with, but we also added some folks. Now, as a facilitator, we put down as a project manager. Now, at our institution, we actually have the CIO who has been a facilitator. He sort of organized that group. But a PM certainly could be that person. And then we definitely needed to have a note taker. We put down the CIOs and various VPs representing different areas of the institution. I think the one that I'm missing here is the VP for communications, or we have a communications officer, but generally that's the makeup. Tyrone, did we want to say anything about this one?
Yeah, the aspect of the project manager being a facilitator in here was my thought process here was, with this steering board, it was kind of doing a dual purpose of, approving new projects as well as facilitating issues with ongoing projects. So that's where at least my thought process was with the PM being a facilitator, was to bring those existing projects and updates into the meeting. So that's kind of where that was coming from.
Okay, thank you. Yes. And so the next slide is basically, it doesn't really add too much information other than, this is the organization. I wasn't quite sure what I think for more complex projects, such as the ones that April talked about in the morning, I can see this being, more complex. But for our case, this was fairly simple. Then we struggled a bit with this, I think, but when we kind of decided, okay, what is the input, right, Tyrone, like in terms of what do we present to this team on a regular basis whenever they meet? And we felt like the first thing that we would do is do an update on current projects, and in those updates also incorporate any kind of issues with having to do with scope, schedule, and budget that might need the resolution of this team and decisions of this team. And then, of course, since they're helping with the selection of what the projects that we are to do next is, present them with, the project queue with the incoming projects that have come in. Tyrone, is there anything else you want to add here?
Yeah, just really with the updates on the current project, again, the thought process there was ongoing activities and cost and adjustments being made to present projects could obviously influence moving forward with new projects.
Okay. Yes. All right, and then I guess we talked about the logistics of it, and some of it obviously we kind of made up, but we felt that being that the makeup of our team that we put together was VP level, they're pretty busy. So we thought, they would meet on a monthly basis. In our case at Orange, the version of this team that we have in existence today, it meets more seldom, but for this one, we thought, a monthly basis would be good and would be great if they were able to meet face to face. Obviously, COVID times, that would be at a distance. And we said, okay, let's do it in this room. Then we said, okay, what kind of materials do we present? And so there could be handouts and dashboards showing, okay, this is the list of all the incoming projects, and this is the dashboard showing the status of the current projects, or a dashboard could show, okay, these are all the, there's so many issues on this project, as an example. And then, speaking of issues, their decisions, that we talked about, their vision being the vision for this team being that, and the goal to help resolve the conflicts in scope. Obviously, we would want to bring these bigger change orders that might have come in. That we can't just say, okay, we're just gonna, add them, and that would result in scope creep, and we don't want to do that unless it's absolutely necessary, and we might not be in a position as a project team to make that type of decision. So we'll bring these change orders to this board to help us make a decision on. With that, as they decide on these are the next projects that need to be done, or something has come up, let's say, and we need to finish a project sooner, or something else is thrown into the mix, we obviously need to present the resource constraints that we have today. Then we might say, okay, well, we have all the staff currently in the IT, as an example, working on all these things. Well, if you want this done sooner, then something else will have to be taken out, and they would have to be instrumental in deciding, what that is that would come out of this mix. And then as far as the output is, there would be action items, decisions, deadlines, priorities, and communication regarding all of this to to the stakeholders, to the project team primarily, saying, okay, this is what's next, this is what's decided, and we you might notice that this is, I haven't mentioned anything about the PMO. We don't, and again, this is partly, like I said, based on what we have today. We don't have a PMO. So that's why I'm saying project team rather than, it going to the PMO. But if there was a PMO, that would also be involved, obviously. And we do need the meeting minutes to have a record of what went on. Tyrone, you want to add anything?
No, I think you covered it all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And that's pretty much it. I mean, this was, I think we didn't get to this specific part for the, I think this was sort of the previous slide was sort of the partly an agenda. We didn't have time to do anything more detailed, so apologize for that. So are there any questions? No questions?
Did you find this helpful, Artur, in maybe thinking about your institution in a different way? You did say you do have a board, executive board going. Were you able to come up with things that were maybe you could approach in a different way?
Yes, I mean, like that they today, as an example, they don't all meet, like, in my opinion, let's say, and Tyrone, you obviously, since it's about my institution, I'll speak to that. They don't meet as often as, I think they should, perhaps. And then they don't, there's a missing link there on the alignment of the projects with the strategic plan. That link is missing there today. I think what happens is that whoever is, the pushiest, for the lack of a better term, in the room, saying, "Oh, I want this project," and there is no, from what I understand, there is no like this um, um, strategic sort of process saying that, okay, does this really meet these strategic goals or institutional goals that we established? And that's why this should be the first project that you do and not this one. So that's missing. And then also the issues, sometimes these scope creeps and these decisions, we don't have an avenue of that today to bring to that team that's not been established as one of the, as part of their vision. So it's something that we sometimes have to scramble internally to figure out how to do and facilitate internally, which, that I feel that, for bigger items, it should be really them helping with that decision process.
Yeah, it sounds like you don't have a party that can help resolve these conflicts. Is that correct?
Yeah, often so. Sometimes it's problematic with the sponsor, but sometimes, as when we're working in my session, I said, well, the sponsor could sometimes be like a secretary in a department, so you wouldn't really expect them to have that type of authority. And then, then should this be lifted up to, okay, now the sponsor should really be the VP for that area. So there is no established process for that either at the moment.
April, did you have a comment or a question? Nope. Okay. Anybody else have any other questions for Artur and Tyrone? Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you,
Thank
both
you.
of you, for presenting. Yes, thank you very much.
Sure.
Does anybody have any closing piece of information they want to talk about that happened in their breakout rooms that they think would be of use to other people in the SUNY community before we move on to our takeaways?
Did group 2 present?
They didn't. We ran out of time. We only got about 4 minutes. Did you want to say, does group 2 want to say anything about what they did, or?
They did a great job. If I think Steve would be a great presenter if he wanted to talk about it, but I'm sorry that he didn't have time to present, because I think they came up with some great stuff.
I can tell you right now, just as a last moment, we focused a lot on looking at projects and what was needed to run a project. We didn't, and so it was very helpful for us to look at who were the roles involved and who would help us make decisions to make sure that a project had what it's needed to be successful. And we're going to share the PowerPoints with everyone, correct?
Yes, I will be sharing the PowerPoints with everyone. I'll create them into PDFs and pop them up on my Google Drive for people to take a look at. Yep.
And of course, if it wasn't for April, I don't think we would have made it from start to finish with it in that time frame.
You guys knew what you were doing. I just scribed.
You were fabulous. Thank you.
All right.
No, you're welcome.
Any other last minute comments or questions or anything like that? All right. Well, I'll give you a couple minutes back from this session. Oh, Krista, did you want to say something?
Chris, did you want to just do a quick summary of upcoming training, or do we have that in the next section? I can't remember.
I can do that in the last couple minutes.
Okay.
A couple different things. That's probably a good idea. A couple different things coming down the pike when it comes to project management. We are running a project management fundamentals class on December 7th and December 14th. It is currently full, but because it filled up so quickly and we had such a large wait list, we did open one up in February. It's February 1st and February 8th, 2 Mondays. It's being run by John Brennan, the CIO at Hudson Valley. Thank you. Yep. We also have a couple other things coming down the pike. I don't know if you guys have heard the announcement, but SUNY System Administration has started Coursera for Campus. That is a very interesting initiative where any student, any faculty, and any staff at any of our campuses across the SUNY organization, all 64, can actually access Coursera courses for free. It's really cool. There's a special website, and we're gonna be talking more about that later on. Some different presentations coming up. But Krista and I are gonna be working on kind of creating some tracks for project management, because there is quite a bit in Coursera out there that you can actually do. Like kind of some basic stuff and even some high level stuff in Coursera. So some free professional development. As well, we're going to be kind of looking at LinkedIn Learning as well. If you're not aware, anybody who lives or works in New York State can get a free New York Public Library card from New York City. And you can actually access LinkedIn Learning for free. So we're going to be talking about that as well, and probably culling some different courses from LinkedIn Learning as well. And I know some of our campuses actually have access to LinkedIn Learning. They've come into a contract with that. System is also looking at coming up with some, they don't want to call it a handshake agreement, but some sort of agreement for pricing for campuses that are looking to implement LinkedIn Learning across their campus. So that's something else that Kristen and I are going to be working on. As well, we will continue our monthly webinars in January. So those are the 4th Thursday of each month. From 11 to noon. Like I said, we're looking at having Lori come back, April come back, and some other different people speak on project management topics during those. So those will be coming back soon. They are hosted in our Project Management Professionals Community of Practice, which is hosted on Workplace. If you're not already a member and you'd like to be, feel free to drop me an email. You can even just reply to one of the ones that I've sent you, and I'll be happy to facilitate that as well. So, and we also have some other stuff that we're working on. We're looking at creating some advanced project management courses, and we're also looking at some different options there, especially as people's budgets start opening up, hopefully in the next academic year. So, all All right. Okay. Well, I am going to let you guys go. You guys can head back to the timeline and then head into the next session. We can do some takeaways. Thank you.
Thank you.